Hello and welcome to the All About Ability podcast. This podcast is sponsored by ICO Financial, specialists in mortgages and protecting your family's finances. Whether you're looking for the best mortgage for you or want to make sure you and your family aren't struggling if you're seriously ill or pass away, call ICO Financial on 0141 447 0290 or email advice@kyo-financial.co.uk. I will include this information in the show notes. I think this is the second week in a row that I've had to be worried about somebody kicking my head off. So hopefully I can keep it nice and you don't want to do that to me.
You'll be grand, Kieran, don't worry about that, pal. Don't worry about that.
No, because it's like, it's funny actually being in a room with somebody where you're like, that guy could beat the crap out of me if he wanted to. I said that to Bungard as well, but it's like, I've seen you kick people, man.
Yeah.
And it's not a good sight. It's not a good sight.
I've actually get that off a lot of people. I think a lot of people think fighters are just animals who just look to scrap. I mean, some are, but a lot of fighters that I know are really, really intellectual guys. Like some are build airplanes, for example. Some are like school teachers, things like that. Like things you wouldn't necessarily expect from a fighter. I think a lot of people still have that mentality that a fighter is a thug, basically, when they're so much more. A lot of them are like scientists, basically, because how much they need to know about their own nutrition as well. 'Cause it's not like football and that. A lot of these guys are doing it by themselves. They've not got a mass team behind them. It's not like Conor McGregor, or because they get paid big money, they can afford to pay all these guys to do everything for them, have everything there. A lot of our guys are just going about it themselves, and these are guys that are still at the top of their sport, the top of their game, you know?
Do you know, that's something I never really thought about, the idea that you're actually having to deal with all these different areas.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not like making the mega bucks at the top of
the
like,
my nutrition isn't, it could be better, I know it could be better, but I don't have the guys there, I don't have the meal prep there, support me. I do it myself, or my missus does a lot of my meal prepping for me, and as well as looking after like our son as well, like working a full-time job and then training pretty much another full-time job on top of that, as well as doing like coaching, I do yourself. It's a lot to get in, as well as trying to make meals, balance your family life as well. It is a lot to get and support by yourself.
Have you been able to do that and get pretty far on in your sport, to be fair? Muay Thai champion, we see all the belts here, like.
Yeah, these pretty much just sit in a cupboard. These aren't, they're good. I love them. I love that I've won them. It's something I can tell my kids about, my grandkids about, like, how I won them. But like, there's 2 Europeans there and an Intercontinental. I want worlds. I want the world titles. I know what I want. Like, yeah, they're great. They look great. These are stepping stones to world titles. It's not the end goal. It's a target, but it's not the end goal.
Yeah. No. Do you think that's like, because you see fighters now where it's like once you reach that pinnacle. I mean, look at the Tyson Fury story, for example. Right, he was talking about how he got the world title. That was the thing that he was aiming for. He was like, I want to be the world champion. And then he gets it, and his sort of fall from that was the idea that once he got it, there was no sort of, you've won these titles and yet you're still hungry for more.
Yep.
How do you think why do you think fighters lose that, but some fighters are able to keep it?
It's a mindset. I think people aim for something, and then when they get it, they don't flip their mindset to going, what's next? Yeah, I say I want world titles, but what I really want is legacy. I'm cementing my legacy. It's took me a while, like especially when I was younger. When I first started fighting, all I wanted to do was try it. Loved it. I was like, I want a Scottish title. Never ever got a Scottish title. Skipped over Scottish titles and went straight to European and Intercontinental. I never thought I'd be fighting at that level, but I just kept my head down, kept working, and as soon as I started realising that actually I'm pretty good at this, then it's like, well, why not aim for the top? Why not try and be the best? Like I said, I want world titles, but I want to fight the best. I want to cement my legacy as, if not the best, one of the best.
You're motivating me with the way you're talking, and I'm like,
Yeah,
let's see this guy fighting it. Who's he fighting next?
Well, lockdowns gave me a lot of free time to think, to reevaluate, to let my body heal and get better, rather than being run down all the time, just training and fighting. Just think, oh, who's next? Well, I'll fight whoever. Yeah, I'll still fight whoever, but like I said, it's a new mindset. It's a different mindset I want. I said it's legacy I'm fighting for, as well as everything else that goes with it.
Do you think that's like comes with like knowing your value and knowing that you want the big fights rather than just fighting anyone for the sake of it?
I think there's qualities in both. There's you want to be able to go, I'll fight him, I'll fight anybody, because you're getting your name out there. You're happy to fight anybody. You'll fight, but you want good fights. You want hard fights. You don't want a fight like, I don't want a fight that I'm going to run through somebody. That doesn't motivate me.
Yeah.
I want fights that not scare me, but I know if I don't turn up, it's going to be a bad night for me. I want to know that if I turn up, as long as I know in my head and my heart, as long as I train hard and turn up in night, I can beat anybody, and that's not me trying to be cocky. But you've got to have that mentality that you can beat anybody, because if you don't, what's the point of taking the fight? You shouldn't be in, if you don't think you can beat the person you're fighting, you shouldn't be in the ring fighting them. If you've got any bit of doubt, then no, you should.
You'll lose the fight if you go in thinking you won't win it. You'll lose.
Like some people might surprise themselves and get an upset, like, oh, I didn't think I'd win that. But 9 times out of 10, I'd say you're losing that fight, because you've put that seed of doubt in your head. It might only be tiny, it might be a slight bit of doubt you've got in your head, but that grows. The closer you get to a fight, that starts to grow more and more. If you get an injury, are you still going to work as hard through that injury as you were before, or are you going to start using that as an excuse as to why you've lost the fight, or to even let yourself pull out? Like, yeah, I've pulled out of fights with injuries, but I've also fought with injuries. Yeah, I've won fights being injured, and I've lost fights being injured, but I've always went in that fight thinking I can still win this. Yeah, okay, if I've lost, it wasn't meant to be, but it's like you said, it's what so far I've only lost 9 fights out of something like nearly 50 fights. So it's not a bad record
It's a pretty good record
to have.
You're humble, but that's a fucking brilliant record, mate. There's no doubt about that. Because it kind of goes back to that old. It's sort of like what they said about Tyson when he'd come out. It was almost as if a lot of fighters were beat before they went into the ring. Yeah. Just by his whole idea of being like, there was a lot of fear around him, and then there was the people that were like, I'm going to beat this guy. They eventually ended up beating him. So it all starts with that kind of mentality. I
think Tyson was an enigma for his time as well. He built his reputation of being one of the scariest guys on the planet, then being crazy. But now you've got a lot of people on social media, and I think people start buying into what people are putting on social media rather than watching the fighter themselves or watching the athlete themselves. It's like anybody can look amazing hitting pads for a 30-second to a minute video, or doing keepy-ups, or anything. Anybody can make themselves look good, but it's what they do in the ring. Who are they fighting, or who are they competing against? Are they competing against the best? Or are they just is it just a nobody you've never heard of? I
mean, look at that. Look at Tommy Fury.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, fair play, he beat us in front of you, but he's fought guys with like 9 losses and 0 wins and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
but boxing's always been renowned for that, for building the fights. I mean, it looks bad because he's in the public eye. He's a celebrity because he was in, was it Love Island? He was in that, and that's gave him fame for that. So if he wasn't on that and he was just a boxer coming through, yeah, he'd still have a wee bit of hype behind him because he was one of the Furies. Yeah. But it wouldn't be as high profile as it is because of who he is and how much he was or still is in the spotlight.
Aye. So like, what do you think about like people that are just come from like YouTube to fighting and stuff like that, like Logan Paul and all that? you could probably beat them up, man. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, I'd certainly like to think so. Even though they've got the weight advantage.
But do you know? Is it because there's people that will say that it's disrespectful to fighting and.
Yeah, if you put them in with a high caliber boxer at the same weight, the boxer's going to win. The high caliber boxer's going to win. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but there's people been doing this for years and years and not made it and getting the money that they probably deserved that these guys are getting. Yeah, they've marketed themselves well, done great, brilliant. I applaud them for that. If they can make money out of doing it, then why not? I would do it. But to then say you can beat this guy and this guy and this guy, it's disrespectful to those fighters. Yeah, I get it. You're still trying to sell yourself. You're trying to make yourself marketable. But they're not going to be world champion or multiple time world champion. They're going to maybe be a mid card fighter. Like them headlining shows. Again, that's disrespectful to the guys that have worked their way through the system to get to that level, and then they're getting told they're on an undercard of two guys that are off of YouTube.
Yeah.
In a charity boxing fight or an amateur boxing fight. It
is strange how things are kind of working out like that. Like you were talking about, we spoke about the graft that you've put in.
Yeah.
Just right from the start of your career. So I'm crazy amount of fights. How many fights were that you said you had in your first year?
My first year, I think I had 8 fights in total. I think 6 of them were within a 2-month period. So it was like I was fighting it like every weekend or every second weekend. It was like getting to the point like my dad was phoning like my mates in the gym and going, like, don't let him agree to another fight until I get there. Like, because my dad wanted his weekend back, because he was coming with me every fight. He was in my corner, still is to this day, in my corner for every fight. So my dad's never missed a fight.
That's amazing, like, because you're Brian Totty Jr.
Yep.
Of course.
Yep.
Which is, so obviously there's a big bond between the two of you. How much of an influence did he have for you going into Muay Thai and not necessarily other?
My dad's always encouraged me to do different things, to try different things. Like I was playing rugby, played at a decent level at rugby. But it was a really bad winter, so the pitches were flooded constantly. We weren't getting training. I was just miserable. Like I said, I've liked to be active. I need to be doing something. And my dad, it was one of my dad's mates, said to him for him to come along and try it, because my dad had done karate for years. He had a grading coming up and he wanted a bit more contact sparring. My dad said to me if I wanted to go and try it along with him, try it with him. Dad, I think I was there a couple of times, maybe a couple of weeks before I started sparring. Sparred once, I was like, right, okay, I enjoy this. I think I was trained for maybe 2-3 months. Done an inter-club, done 2 inter-club, done inter-clubs, basically a hard spar in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
I was at the Strata Uni, the student union.
Yeah.
So that was in there, Christmas time. So done the first one and having a couple of beers, like 16, 17, probably shouldn't be saying this, but I was fine. My dad was there. Had a couple.
Scottish.
It was fine. Had a couple of beers, and then it was a guy Ramsey at the time that runs the grip house. He came up to me and was like, "How many have you had?" I was like, "I think it was my second." This is my second. He took it off me and was like, "Right, go get changed again. You're back in 5 minutes." It's like, "Right, boy." Took the beer back off him, finished it, and went and get changed. Went back in. Same again. Like first one was good. Second one was good as well. I accidentally broke a boy's nose in it with a knee. Didn't realise until about 2 weeks later when I seen him and his nose was in a bandage that I broke his nose. And it was after that I was like, yeah, I want to try a fight. And a couple months later I was fighting. So I was fighting within less than a year of training Muay Thai.
I mean, it sounds like there's no sort of, like nobody was easing you into it. You were just right in the.
No, like I said, my dad's always encouraged me to try new things. He'd always supported me in whatever I've done, and wanted to do. So he's never, like I said, when I played rugby, he supported me in that. When I done when I went to Muay Thai, supporting me in that. So he's always been there supporting me. Never pushing me. It's always been my decision to do it. Like, my dad's never wanted to be one of these guys that going, well, you need to do this, you need to do it, you're good at this, so you need to do this. It's always been my decision. Like, if I want to do it, I can do it. If I don't want to do it, well, we'll find, you can try something else. It's no big deal.
That seems to be a key story from a lot of successful athletes, is the idea that they got to choose the craft.
Yeah.
Because you hear these stories about people that get forced into certain areas and they dedicate themselves to it, but it was not through their own actual want, and then that makes them kind of bitter about the sport.
Yeah, I think you can. I've seen it from with my own eyes as well. People that are like great athletes or great fighters or whatever, even great football players, but they get pushed that hard from such a young age. They burn out. Maybe not physically, but mentally they burn out. Like, they just, something goes and they're like, nah, they rebel, or they go off the rails. They go, nah, enough's enough. I can't maintain this. If this is what it's like when I'm this age, what's it going to be like when I'm 20, 25, when I'm getting to my peak, when I'm at the top of my game? Like I say, I just think they burn out mentally rather than physically before they even get to that opportunity.
Definitely, I think you're right there. And like, we met through Everyday Athlete Gym, which you're obviously wearing their shirt.
Yep.
If you want to get their shirt,
Product placement.
I thought I was letting you know, if you want to get the shirt, it's
Yep.
available everywhere.
Yep.
Go to their Instagram and all that. They're great. And so we met through there, and they obviously, we'll get to how you got in a minute, but they obviously train younger Muay Thai fighters coming through.
Yep, the juniors.
Do you see that as like an opportunity now to like relay what you just said to them and be like, you know, this is a tough sport if you're going to get into it full time?
Yeah, if any of them ever, I've done a couple of PTs with them. I've took the kids class myself. Like, if Martin's been away with the kids or whatever, I'm always there to help out whenever the guys need it or whenever anybody needs it. So if they've ever not sure of something or they're down about something, even the adults that are fighting, like the guys that train with me, if they're ever needing it, just to ask, or if they want to ask questions about it, then I'm an open book. I'll give my honest opinion on things. Like, people might not necessarily like that, but I think they'll appreciate it in the long run. Like, they might not like hearing it at the time, but in reality, it's good for them to hear. Like, I'd rather somebody was honest with me than blew smoke up my backside and made me think I was better than I am. You know, I'd rather have somebody tell me, well, that wasn't great. So then that's something, that's feedback. I can go work in that. I can make myself better. And it's the same with the juniors. Like, if I don't think they've done something, if they've asked me something, or they're really getting into the sport, like, they're loving it and they're there all the time, it's just like, even to the parents, it's sometimes like you get the parents, like, you don't say the parents are pushing them. Like, I'd never say that to a parent, because it's not my place, it's not my child, but just sometimes remind them that even though if they're losing as juniors, it doesn't matter. They're learning. As long as they're having fun and learning, there's a bigger future for them in the sport. Like, you learn more from a loss than you do from a win a lot of the time. So if they're losing but they're learning, and if they're losing and they're having fun, they're coming back in the gym and training, then that's all you can ask. Is like, you tell the juniors that, and you try and reiterate that to the parents, because they're emotionally attached. The same as my dad's emotionally attached to me fighting, the same as I was emotionally attached to when my dad fought. It's like, you want to see them do well, but you also need to know that you can't win it. You can't always win. It's like, it's near enough impossible to have that squeaky clean record if you're fighting the top level guys or top level females. Or if you're fighting the best of the best, you're going to lose. You're going to come up short sometimes, but you build yourself back up and you fight them again. You might beat them the next time. Sets up for a trilogy. Brilliant.
Yeah.
But you just, again, it's like, I've seen juniors lose at junior level and then rematch again at adult level, and the fight's a totally different fight. So it depends on how each each kid takes it and to develop. But like I said, like it's like I say to them, I always say if you lose but having fun, that's the main thing. Like you're meant to have fun as a junior. You're not meant to be. Even still now, I want to have fun. Like if I wasn't having fun, I wouldn't be fighting. I enjoy it. I love it. I love getting punched in the face. It's great.
Do you think that that's like, because what you're saying there is, when you're talking about how you can learn more from a loss, but that's also down to the coaching and what people are saying, how they're saying it. Like if you are saying to somebody, because a lot of people, if they lose a fight, it's the feedback, the constructive feedback that's important from that.
Yeah.
And like what you just said there is so important in the sense of like making it clear to them that it's not a end of the world if you lose a fight at junior level. It's not like you can always go but that comes back to like almost a new school of coaching.
Yeah.
Of being more sort of approachable and more able to have open conversations, whereas the old school mentality is the idea of like you need to win everything all the time, and if you don't win, it's like get in and train harder.
It's like you can. I'm guilty of overtraining myself. Like I'm the one guy in the gym Tommy will send home, and I've seen myself trying to sneak in the gym to train at night, and Tommy's caught me or message somebody to see if I'm in the gym, and is then told them to send me. I've been told to go up the road. You know what I mean? Because I'm burning out because I don't see it myself. I feel tired, but I maybe not see it myself. That's when you need good coaches to look after you. I can see it in other people, but I can't see it myself. I always try to think about. I always think whoever I'm fighting is training just as hard as me. They might not be, but I'm training. I'm training like every fight's the hardest fight in my life. You know what I mean? So I always over prepare rather than under prepare for fights. Yeah. Sometimes that doesn't. Sometimes, like I say, I burn out, but other times you get it perfect. And again, it's just down to the coaching. Like I've got a good team around me looking out for me now. I trust my team. Yeah. Which is the most important thing. I trust their judgment. If I didn't trust their judgment, then I wouldn't be there. But I trust their judgment. So if they tell me to go home and I need a rest, then I go home and have a rest. If they tell me, oh, you're on light duties tonight, you're not doing much, you're just getting above a stretch and a wee sweat, you're not doing hard sparring, you're not hitting pads, you're just like, let's just bring the engine back down a wee bit, let's just bring down the gears a wee bit. You don't want to peak too early for fighting.
Well, because you do hear that a lot with, you hear about the gym champions, so to speak. Yeah, you see some guys that are incredible in the gym, or they go so super hard in training. There's no need for it. You're beating people up in training. If that's as hard as you can go, and you're going that in training, then I'm not scared of you in a fight. Yeah. Nobody's going to be scared of you in a fight. It's the ones that just quietly go about their business and hit you with shots, and that's it's just crisp technique that's hitting you, and you're like, oh, that was a belter. If that was power in that's night or that's game over. That's the way I'd rather be. So you talked about how important the team is. Yep. And obviously you've got your dad and Tommy Young and Martin McCann from Everyday Athlete. So how did you actually come to find the gym and come to find these guys, and how this team in itself came about? I started training at the Grip House. Tommy was training, coaching, he was still fighting out at the Grip House at the time. So developed a friendship through that. Is also like he's my pretty much my main coach for a number of years there. Then Tommy went off to China for a couple of years to work, build the Fight Camp brand over there. And at the time, I didn't actually realise how much Tommy protected the fighters from until he left. As soon as he left, I was almost forced to step into his shoes. So I was dealing with all the fighters. I was holding pads for them. I say it and people think I'm crazy, but I was holding maybe 40 or 50 rounds of pads a day some days for other fighters, and then still having to train myself on top of that. And I mean, people that don't hold pads will think, oh, that's easy. I say, oh, you've got the easy job, but holding pads is a workout in itself, especially for guys that are fighting 4 or 5 weeks out for a fight, 6 weeks out for a fight.
it takes its toll on your body. That kind of burnt me out a bit. And fast forward a bit, Tommy came back to UK, and himself, Valbo and Paddy were opening up everyday athlete. So spoke to Tommy. I wasn't happy training at the Grip House anymore. I was just, let's say, burnt out. I was just home pads for everybody. If my dad wasn't in, or Manny, or Michael Anderson, if they weren't in the gym, I wasn't hitting pads. When I had fights coming up, I was finding it harder and harder to get my training in. I was running and hitting a bag a lot of the time. Like, I was drilling sometimes. I was getting wee bits of work in here and there, but not enough for me, for where I wanted to be. I was almost self-coaching at that point. I was trying to run sessions for myself when I should be taking the back seat. I should just be getting told, right, this is the guy you're fighting, this is what we're doing, boom, just switch off, let's go. But I was having to be, right, okay, I've got 3 guys after me, or I've got 3 guys before me. I need to get training plans for that. Working stuff with them, working stuff with the next guys, and try to plan my own sessions. So myself, I took a dip in how I was feeling. Like, I felt really low. I wasn't in the best place. Like, I was going home from the gym more annoyed than when I went in, if that makes sense. I was getting down. Like, I was still fighting, still actively fighting, but my body was shot to bits. Like, I was training on top. Had injuries. I was training on Totty. We get more injuries training on top of that. By the time I left, or when I was leaving the Grip House for EDA, I had a fight. I was meant to fight in Edinburgh against a Thai. And I was going to train at both Grip House and EDA, do a couple of sessions, just to give myself a break away from the Grip House, give myself a bit of peace of mind, so I knew I was getting some training in. It was going to be a hard fight. Luckily, in hindsight, I was gutted at the time, but luckily in hindsight, the fight fell through. So that didn't happen, so it meant I could have time off to let my body heal, and that was one of the things Tommy wanted, was for me to take time off. So I hadn't fought maybe nearly 6 months by the time I'd finally fought again, but it gave like I said, maybe had a 3-month gap that I didn't maybe 4 months gap that I didn't actively train for a fight for, or have. I just done rehab. I was still in the gym, moving, but it was more ED. I was more ED I was in, and eventually it was actually, as soon as the fight got cancelled, I spoke to a guy and just said, look, I've no bad blood with anybody at the Grip. It was time to move on for me. I hung about because we had guys. There was guys fighting on the Ormore show, which was the Grip House home show, and I felt I had a loyalty to the guys that I'd been training for that. So I stuck around, didn't say anything to them, just stuck around until after the show, and then after the show I just let them know that I was moving on, and Tommy made sure I took the time off, got my rehab in with Danny Ray at Physio Effect, also based in Everyday Athlete Gym. So yeah,
Danny's great. Danny's a great.
Danny's brilliant. I've been to different physios before, but Danny's the man. Danny's the one that's always sorted me out. So I can't thank him for enough for that. He got me back on my feet, and Tommy got my head back in the game. I just started enjoying training again after that. So it was just nice to be able to go back and have a laugh again. Like, Muay Thai for me was becoming very
job.
Not even a job. It was becoming a chore.
Oh, right. Yes. It was
becoming a chore to do it, and I hated feeling that because I loved the sport so much. I'd invested so much time into the sport. Like I say, I just had to get away and get that mental reset, that break, and it's been great since. I've been getting better and better again every fight, every training session, better and better, that 1% better every day.
Do you think that they, like Tommy in that gym, what was able to make you like step out of the kind of slump you were in mentally, how you felt in terms of, like, you was talking about how you felt as if you were feeling a bit down about it all and not really sure where to go, but a lot of fighters might have just continued and just went, I'm loyal to this gym and this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
Is there like that need to be selfish in the sense of like, maybe not the right word, but just in the sense of being like, this is what I need to do for me?
Yeah. Well, I was still in my early 20s at the time. It came to a point. It's like, right, okay, I had to make the decision. I wasn't happy trying to do coaching and fighting. I mean, I love coaching, I love fighting, but the level of the amount of coaching I was doing was overtaking my ability to productively train for fights. So I had to make a decision. Am I going to, do I want to just, right, enough's enough for fighting, I'll just finish fighting, focus on coaching others to be better, or do I still want to fight? I had to look into myself to decide if I still wanted it, and I did still want it. I had a couple of losses that I knew I wasn't on my game. I wasn't 100%. I still went into those fights thinking and knowing I can beat them, but I was kidding myself. I wasn't there. I wasn't at the races. For those, I shouldn't have been in those fights, but again, I don't want to say miscoached and mismanaged, but I wasn't able to look at things because I wanted to fight. I was just so determined. I'm fighting. I'm still competing.
Yeah.
And because I was doing basically doing a lot of the coaching myself. Like, guys were holding past me. Yeah, I can look great in pads, but they weren't looking to see how I was, or talking enough to me, like interacting enough to see how I was. If they did, they would have known that I shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
That I shouldn't have been there. Like, Tommy knows me well. Tommy knows me great. Like, he knows when I'm here, and when I'm here, like, he knows, like, okay, today's like, let's just cool the engine. Like, it's been a hard couple of weeks training. Let's just bring it back a bit, more of an active recovery day, and then let's go again for the rest of the week.
Because you've won like a lot of fights that were close.
Yep.
With 5 round fights, and
yep.
I mean the one that you won the European title was not against Michael
Pham,
and he was, as far as I was aware, he went into that pretty confident he was going to win.
He went into that. He went into that pretty confident that he was going to win that. That was actually that one I won. I beat his cousin for the one in the middle a couple of years before that. Yep. So that was a big revenge fight. But I said, beat him, smashed him. Like, it was, if you listen to commentating on it, they're favouring him early on.
Yeah.
They quickly changed their tune after. Like, I get cut that fight, but again, people think when you get cut, oh, you're losing the fight. Like, it's not. It's a cut. It's not affecting me. It's like, it's only blood. It's superficial. It can be stitched up after it. What happens if it runs into your eyes? I wear contacts. So they go out and blind most of the time anyway, so it doesn't bother me.
Do you think that affects judges more? Like, when they see blood, they're like, well, this guy's...
I think it depends on how the fighter reacts to it.
Mm-hmm.
If you start to panic and back off and let them tee off on you, then yeah. But a cut's a cut. Like, I like to think the judges are clued up enough to know that, okay, you get nicked. There could have been a clash of heads, an accidental headbutt, and I get cut. But I just happened to get elbowed. I ran into his elbow. He came in with his elbow. I bounced off the ropes and trying to grab him in the clinch and ran straight into an elbow and got cut. So,
I mean, because you're talking about how they're able to help you see, like Tommy's able to see slight areas of your game and know what needs improved and what's working and what's not. Do you think that that's the difference between being able to win a fight like that and losing it when it's that close?
Yeah, like Tommy's as cliche as it might sound, Tommy's a student of the game, much like myself. Like, he'll study fights, he'll go and watch fights back, like, not just people I'm fighting, but he'll watch fights in Thailand, like the stadium fights. He'll pick stuff up, he'll send them to, like, we've got a group chat, like, for the fight team. He'll send them into that, like, boys will watch that and go, oh, did you see, or we'll talk about different fights, and we'll try and bring some of that stuff we've seen from fights, like, oh, that was pretty cool. Like if none of us, especially if none of us have got a fight coming up, or we know each other well enough to go, oh, well, like, we Scott, like, you got, oh, well, that might work for Scott, or I think Spencer could do that. So you start try to add that into our game. Like, you necessarily tell them, but you go, oh, well, let's try this. It's just something new. Again, it's just something to keep the brain active. Like, they can get really mundane, just jab kick, jab cross kick. It can, especially when you're in an 8-week fight camp, it can feel as if like this is never ending. But just those mixing up those wee sessions and just communicating about different fights, like watching different things, like that's what helps us all get better. And again, we've got a good team round. We've got a good team round all of us. Like, we're all very supportive of one another. We all look out for each other. It's like if somebody needs something, like coming up for a fight, like somebody else will get it. Like if I've say, like for instance, if any of the boys have been cutting weight, they shouldn't be driving because they're cutting weight. I'll go pick them up if they've got weigh-ins, or if they're like, no, I'm alright, I'll get you at the gym, then fine, I'll meet them at the gym and we'll take them out, myself, Tommy, or whoever. We'll get them to weigh-ins, and vice versa. Like the boys do it for me. Like if I'm fighting down south, I'm not cutting weight and then driving 3-4 hours down the motorway. Not a chance. Like, my dad will pick me up, or Tommy will pick me up, and we'll go down, or they'll pick me up and go to the airport, or whatever it may be, if I need to fly anywhere. But again, you just have that support network around you. Or if somebody else is going to shops, for instance, on the day of the fight, and they'll come and say, oh, do you need anything? Do you want me to pick you up some food? Even just somebody going, I'll pick you up a coffee. You know what I mean? That it's the wee things like that that make although you're in there fighting somebody yourself, it's a team that gets you there.
Yeah.
You need the support of that team to help
get you through it.
To help spur you on. Like when you're feeling tired and having a rough day, but when you're just burnt out from training, or starting to burn out a bit from training, you have these guys around you to build you up. Like, come on, you've got me and you're like playing mind games with you, like just not in a nasty way, but just like we're all competitive, like
bringing out the best in you.
Yeah, just try to getting in your head that wee bit, going like, would you think your opponent's slacking? Do you think they're doing that? And no, like, so that gives you, that spurs you on to do that wee bit more, that extra rep, and that extra rep sometimes makes the difference in the long run.
Because you've always been able to see, when you come into the gym, you can really feel that community, and I think it really stems from the Muay Thai fighters, as well. Like I remember coming in and just thinking, at first I was terrified of all of you, because I watched just kick bags and stuff, and think, man, imagine taking that to the head. It's just like that was. There was something about the way that you fought with each other, that you knew it was hard and tough, but you also knew that it was like a brotherhood type thing. Yeah,
there's no ego. Egos are left at the door. There's no egos. Like I always say, like fighters have to have a bit of a ego, might be wrong, but you need to have that bit of like a wee bit of an ego about you, like for fighting. Like you know you can beat somebody. You know you can win fights. You know you're capable of beating anybody put in front of you. You need to have that self confidence in yourself. There's no point if you doubt yourself. But we leave that nobody's so self-centered that they think they're better than everybody in the gym. Everybody thinks they can learn off of one another, and that goes through the fight team. And the fight team doesn't just train with the fight team will train with the fight team, but we'll jump in, we do all the S&C classes, we'll jump in, we'll do the yoga when it's on, like, and we'll mix with everybody else. Like we just want to have a laugh the same as everybody else. We just want to enjoy our training the same as everybody else. We still do. There's not a fighter. There's a fighter sessions, but there's still the normal sessions that all the fighters jump in with everybody else. It's not. Yeah. We don't segregate that, that's why it makes that community. That's why we've got so much support coming from want to come support us at fights, and they are willing to travel down south. Or like when I fought in Sweden, I had 16 people came over to Sweden to support me fighting. Yeah. Like having to organise tickets to get these guys in. Like 16 people like going over to see Sweden just to see one guy fight is amazing. Like, and they would do that for anybody. You know what I mean? It's that for anybody in the team. That's how close knit we are.
It's you can definitely feel that in the gym. Mm-hmm. But it's what makes every day athlete like a special thing.
Yeah,
because you can go to different ones, but like even what you just said about how you look at all these different, you're always looking at different wee areas to improve. Mm-hmm. Whereas it looks like a lot of fighters they figured out a way to win that's good for them and what they're good at, and they really focus on that one area.
Yeah.
Eventually, like, it's found out because that somebody's going to be like, he or she can only do this one particular thing well. You know, like, if you can't do, and they're able to look at all these different areas and say, we need to work on this and work on that. Whereas a lot of fighters with their ego can tend to focus on what they're good at.
Yeah.
And that's what ends up losing fights.
Yeah.
So it's like being able to have that community where you can say, we need to work on this.
Yeah, it's being able to have, for people to have the ability to feel as if they can approach you and tell you something without getting shot down, or their opinion not feeling as if it's important or taken on board. There's like, everybody's input is valid to me. Like, I learn, although I think I'm the most experienced fighter we've got in it, like active fight we've got in the gym. But the guys that have had 6 or 7 fights, they're brilliant. Like, they're fantastic, and they study the game. They love the sport. So I still take stuff off. I still learn stuff from them. Like, I take what they say. If they say, like, or you didn't maybe step a wee bit more on that kick, or let's try this, something different. Like, one of my best pad holders is we Scott. He's hardly had any fights. He's had maybe 5-6 fights, maybe slightly more, I forget, but he's not had many fights. But he's an absolute beast fighting, and he's an absolute beast in the pads. Like, he's brilliant. And again, Spencer's had a lot of fights now, and but again, he's not had as many as me. He's not had the same experience as me, but he's brilliant. Like, his knowledge of the sport is just his knowledge in general and his way of thinking is brilliant. Like, I love training with these guys that I can take things from, and I'm not going to go, I've had more fights than you, so why should I listen to you? No, like, the more knowledge the better. Like, there's not even they'll ask me questions as well, like, and this might be stupid. There's no stupid question. I mean, there might be a stupid answer, but there's no stupid questions.
Well, it's like, because that's what seems to happen when you see fighters that do well fall. Is it always comes out that their camera's blowing smoke up their arse, or that, you know, like,
they have too many yes men around them.
Yeah,
so I'd rather have people telling me no than everybody telling me yes. And
with this kind of work ethic, and you were saying about how many fights you had at the start, because I was just telling you before we started this, when we first kind of started speaking, and we had a session together, I was hitting the pads and you were holding them, which was I mean, my hitting the pads isn't great, but it was interesting being able to train with somebody that's is sort of kind of as mentally tough as you, and you know what you're doing, obviously. And I remember being quite intimidated at first, but a couple of minutes into it, I was like, this is good. And you were talking about how you're going to be fighting this guy this month and this guy next month. This is when the world was normal. And I think that going back to, like, the Michael fight, for example, where you won the European title, that was on was that not the first fight that was on the Muay Thai fight that was on UFC Fight Pass? UFC
Fight Pass, yeah. It was the main event on the London card at the O2 Arena, which was cool to go to London. Like, I've only ever been to London twice, and both times I've been to London, I've came back with a new belt. It's always so that I've got good memories of London so far. But yeah, it's again, it's not. Yeah, there's cameras there, but it's a fight. I'm not thinking about the cameras. I don't. Like, think about them, maybe think about them before and think about them after. But during the fight, it's a fight. Like, I don't mind it. It's like it's just another day at the office.
When I seen that was the first Muay Thai fight to be on UFC, like UFC Fight Pass, it got me thinking about different mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
And when I see you guys train in the gym and how hard you work, but then the fact that you've also got other jobs that you do to, you know, it's like, I don't understand, because I love watching fights, right? And part of me doesn't quite get how Muay Thai isn't on the same sort of platform. It's like, because the things that people boo at UFC, for example, is when they go to the ground.
When they go to the ground. Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't like it when people go to the ground, because I think I'm just talking about your general casual fan likes to see people standing up. So this is what everyone like loves about fighting, is the punching or the kicking parts.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It is a weird one. I think it's because of the Thai music. People can't really get behind it. The Thai scoring's a little bit different as well. Because the first 2 rounds, not much usually happens in traditional Muay Thai fights, and they're pretty much scored even. So I don't think people get that. But I get saying that ONE FC, based in Asia, they do MMA, Muay Thai, kickboxing, all under one banner. They're really getting more interest in the sport. Yeah. It's really starting to take off. Even with the UFC getting bigger, you can see that level of Muay Thai has went up in the UK as well as everywhere. There's been more interest in it.
Yeah, well, because when I remember talking to somebody about this before, I can't remember who it was now, but they were saying, because I was asking them why Muay Thai is not necessarily getting the same quick coverage.
Yeah,
you're talking about the levels going up. Do you see it as like a matter of time before people start saying, wanting to watch this sport more and seeing it more on mainstream platforms?
I'd like to think so. I would really like to think so. I think there's so many good athletes there. I think we're losing so many good athletes to other sports because the money's not there, because the TV's not getting behind it. There's no real push for it.
Yeah,
but it
just seems like one of the most hidden amazing sports to watch. You're like, I was watching your fights leading up to this and thinking, some of them I was like, these are a couple of the best fights I've ever watched in my life. Yeah, and they should have been on the telly. You know what I mean? I was like, I would have watched that. I would have paid for that.
Some of them have been on the telly. Like I've been on British Eurosport before, and some of them have been aired like that, but it's not enough of it.
You just don't see it covered behind. Much. We were talking about the, so we were talking about the sport and Muay Thai in itself, right? So you're saying how you're losing a lot of fighters to other sports.
Yeah.
You're seeing that people from Muay Thai wrestling kind of try to jump into MMA because of the UFC, Bellator type of stuff. Now, I don't think Muay Thai gets the respect it deserves in the sense of how enjoyable it is to watch. Like, every fight that I went and watched you back in, there seemed to be a distinct habit, the fact that they were saying that you stole the show basically. The 5 rounds with Michael, the one you did the European title, but then also, I forget his name now, but you're looking at potentially.
Jack Kennedy.
Yeah, Jack Kennedy. That was a draw.
Yeah,
but it was.
I that one, Jack, it was a close. I thought in the ring, I thought it was a close fight. Watching it back after the fight, I'm going to be biased, but I thought I comfortably won. But I'm still hypercritical on myself. Like, I'll still pick that apart. But even picking it apart, I still thought I won that fight. But again, everybody enjoyed it. Everybody loved it. Loved the fight, and everybody wants to see the rematch. So we'll get the rematch on at some point. I'm sure if Jack stops taking fights a couple of weeks before and getting his jaw broke, that'd be nice, Jack. Cheers, pal.
Cheers, pal. Is that something that you're always thinking about when you go into the ring? Is like you don't just want to win, but you want to put on a show?
I just going to fight. I don't really think about much else. Like if I'm thinking about what's going on in the fight, I start to freeze up. Like my last fight against Noel Gomez, like I get so caught up. I knew I could hit him. I get so caught up in what I have that big KO, that big one punch knockout. I was looking for the perfect shot, and I spent too much time looking for the perfect shot that it never came. It wasn't there. Yeah, I still won the fight comfortably. Yeah. But it wasn't what I envisioned. It wasn't a great fight for me, and I know I'm capable of more than I know what I'm capable of. Again, that was a short notice fight. Like my opponent kept changing. He was meant to fight Jack in the rematch then, but he obviously got injured, and I ended up fighting Noel on Yokow again. So it was just, I was just happy to get the fight at the end of the day and still get paid for the fight, but it wasn't the fight I was wanting. It wasn't the fight the way I wanted the fight to go, because I knew I knew I could hit him. I knew I could, and that's no disrespect to him. He's a great fighter. I just knew I could hit him at will. But I got so caught up in trying to look for that perfect shot that I lost sight of what the goal was. I should have just been, if I go in and fight my fight, then it's, I win the fights. And I get into the rut, not into a rut, but I get comfortable in a fight.
All right, I see.
I get into maybe first gear, second gear, and then if I'm winning the fight comfortably, I don't need to do anything else. If I pushed a wee bit harder, but I went into third gear, I could probably stop some. I could probably stop them.
Yeah.
I've never had a fight yet that's made me go 3, 4, 5, and then go, fuck, I need to dig that bit deeper. Like really, like I want those fights that you see in boxing history or Muay Thai history. You see or even Rocky movies. Like you see guys getting up off the stool in the last round. They're beat, they're banged up, but they're still going in, and like that's the kind of fights I want. Like I want those. Yeah, I've had close fights, but I've made it hard for myself because I get into that zones. Like I get not lazy, but I get comfortable. I just get, well, I'm doing enough to win the fight. Why I don't need to do any more. This is easy. Or not easy, but I'm winning the fight. Like and I can sit here and win the fight. I almost need not a rocket Mars, but I just want
that push.
Yeah, I need maybe it's a mental barrier I need to get over myself. I don't know. Maybe it's something I need to have a conversation with somebody about, like further down the line or whatever. But I know there's another level there.
Yeah.
It's unlocking that box, but it's unlocking that box. You'll see the best of me.
Yeah.
And nobody's seen what I'm truly capable of yet. And that might sound really cliche and really like full of myself, but I know myself, like I've got so much more. Like people just think I'm a clincher, like that's all I can do. But I can, like the boys in the gym will tell you I can bang. Like people I've fought will tell you I can bang. When I let my hands go or my legs go, my knees go, like people are surprised. Like people don't expect that power. And when I do let it go, I don't let it go in every fight because I get comfortable. I get there's something there that's not. I'm not getting over that final hurdle, or I'm just not feeling as if I need to. I've not had to dig to break that wall down. I've always been like I said, nearly 50 fights in. I've only lost 9. I've drew twice. I'm still trying to get to my prime level, my optimum level. So it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Definitely. But do you think that's what you're saying now? You're saying how you need to figure out how to get to that next gear, but also do you think that comes with the idea of what we spoke about at the start? How you're saying you've got these European belts, but you want the world belts. You want the world. Does that come from fighting? Are you almost subconsciously keeping those extra gears for when you fight for the world belts at the top level? I
don't think so. I think it's maybe I'm subconsciously not really thought of it like that. It's just it's a hard one because a lot of fights a lot of your opportunities are based on performance. I know that, and when somebody's like, my last fight was a letdown, like it was for me personally. I still won the fight. A lot of people go, oh well, you still won, so you'll get moved up. You'll still see the effect, but people are that caught up in seeing quick fights, quick high. Like they don't appreciate the art of going, or how hard it actually is to go 5 rounds. Like it's easy to say, you should have just knocked him out. All right, you go and try and knock him out. It's like it's not as easy as that as people think it is. Some people seem to think it's you can knock anybody. If you want to knock somebody out, you can knock them out. It's not. That's a trained. And then you've got to remember that's another trained killer. Yeah. And facing you, like trying to do the same to you as what you're doing to them. You just try to do it to them. So again, I think people can get too caught up and look for knockouts as well. Like I did in my last fight, I was trying to look for that perfect shot, that perfect finish, just to make an exclamation, to put an exclamation mark on the fight, and it doesn't happen. Yeah, some people can do it, but like,
it's also like you're when you do that, you're kind of putting yourself at risk of getting knocked out yourself. more so.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've seen that where people are like,
Yeah.
I was looking for the perfect shot. I've seen that a couple of times where, like, look at, what was that fight? I always thought the fight with Bisping and Rockhold in UFC, Rockhold just thought he was going to run over Bisping. Bisping was like, and he left himself open because he's always just looking for that knockout.
Yeah.
Like, so is it not somewhat a safer strategy to be like, when you know you're in control, just to sort of play it, even though that mindset.
I don't think you necessarily like going up a gear as going for a knockout, as going for the stoppage. It's just putting maybe a wee bit more venom on your shots, or doing a wee bit more, like, to make it even more comfortable, even more like cemented that you've won that fight. There's no way anybody can deny you've won that fight. I think there's that aspect of it as well, to go up rather than keeping it like, oh well, you're doing enough to win the fight. You know what I mean? Whereas you go up on a level, you could be doing more than enough to win the fight. Like, they might throw in the corner, might go, enough's enough, throw in the towel. He's not coming back from it. Or you just run away with on the judge's scorecard, whatever it may be.
Well, that's the thing, is it's that old saying that you never want to leave it to the judges. You know, you never want to
majority of my fights have went to the judges, so I can't. I've been robbed at times, but I can't. Like, overall, I can't really be too critical on judges.
But that comes from the idea of you're not just looking to edge the fight, you're looking to dominate the fight, and so it makes it undeniable to the judges. Like, whereas if you didn't get some of the decisions you've got, people would be like, that's a robbery. Like, you're making it too difficult for them to go the other way. Yeah, and that's the key. But so there was a couple of things I wanted to touch on, just into the sense of, like, obviously this podcast is called All About Ability, and the point of it is focusing on things that you can do rather than things that you can't. Yep. And obviously I'm in a wheelchair, and I've always been curious as to, when I came in and first trained with you, what your thoughts were, in the sense of being like, how am I going to train this guy? Like, or having a sort of, have you ever actually trained with anyone with disability before?
Well, obviously trained with yourself, but before that, no. But I know I've seen a couple of one of the boys, Sean, right? He used to train a guy that was blind, doing Muay Thai, boxing and kicking and things like that, which was pretty cool. So I've seen it. Is, again, I don't care what anybody's personal situation is or whatever. If they've got a disability, but they want to do Muay Thai, or they want to learn, do boxing, whatever it may be, brilliant. Let's do it. Let's see what we can do. As long as people have got the will,
there's a way
to try. You'll find a way to do it. It's there's never, like, you should never.
Was there ever a worry there when I came in, like, the idea of being like, I don't want to necessarily, because I think people look at somebody in the wheelchair, the sort of natural assumption to make is, what do we make sure that we don't want to hurt this guy particularly, or do anything too out of the ordinary?
I always start my set. Anytime coaching somebody, I always start slow. Always, doesn't matter who you are. Like, I always build up, like, because you need to get, especially if it's personal training, you need, even taking a class, you need to get to know these people. You need to build up a relationship with these people, to know how to take them, like, know their sense of humour, know how hard you can push them, and know how hard they're willing to push themselves. And you know, like, if somebody's not capable, but
got the mindset for it.
Yeah, like, got the mindset to push it. If they just want to do it to get fit and just have a laugh, yeah, fine. If somebody's want to get that little bit more out of it, still having fun doing it. Like, you should never be dreading coming in and doing a session. It should always be, I like to think I always try and keep it fun and interesting. Like, I'll laugh and I'll joke, I'll take the mick at myself, take the mick at each other. Like, you've seen us in the gym before, like, you just all take the piss at each other. It's just, that's how I try and build relationships with people. Like, if you have a laugh with somebody and they enjoy they enjoy the session, but they enjoy the coaching and they're learning something. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What their walk of life is, if they've got a disability, if they've not got a disability, it doesn't matter, as long as, let's say, as long as they're enjoying the sessions, as long as they're getting something out of it, that's the most important thing. For me anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think watching you and watching the guys training, it made me be like more in tune with my own sense of wanting to do more.
Yeah.
And maybe because I spoke about this a lot in the podcast, but the idea that when you have a disability as visibly noticeable as mine, it's you get a lot of people are very like, oh, it's hard enough for you, we'll just take it easy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until I get into EDA and met people like yourself that I realised I had this kind of fire in me that I was putting downward because I was told that I wasn't supposed to be like that.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Like, I think that's a very dangerous way for people to look at it, like, because that then reflect, if that's what you're brought up with your whole life, then that becomes your mentality that I shouldn't do that because of the way I am, my disability, or because of where I was brought up. Well, I was brought up in Maryhill and I played rugby. Look, when I was brought up, people from Maryhill didn't play rugby. I still done it. Like, it just wasn't. It wasn't the thing. I'd not done it to a good, like I said before, done it to a good level, but it wasn't the kind of thing it's done. And it's like the same as you see, like, people who have had hard upbringings. They're not meant. People think, oh, you shouldn't be going to college and university. You shouldn't become a doctor or a lawyer, but they did. And people telling them, making them think they're belittling them and telling them we can't. That's not helping them. Encourage them. Give them support. Some people have that drive themselves that they'll just find in them, go, oh, I'm going to prove you wrong. But there's not enough of that. And people get so down on it. It's like the same with people when they don't make it as professional footballers. That's all they've been told they can do or been told they can't do. And it's like, well, what one is it? It's like all of a sudden they're told they're great, you're going to make it to the top, and then go, oh, no, you're not. They've got nothing to fall back on. That they've put all their eggs in one basket. And it's the exact same as, like, if you're telling somebody you can't do this, then they're going to think they can't do it. And again, like I said, if you're telling somebody, oh, you're amazing, you're going to make it, that's a dangerous mindset to have as well, because especially from a young age, you're convincing somebody that they're going to succeed at this one thing. Yes, they might,
but they might not.
But you need to have a fallback. Like, yeah, let's stick in at school. Let's do other things. Yeah, you're great at this. You might make it at this. Never say you're not going to make it at this. I would never. If my boy Jake was amazing at football, I would never. And I thought, oh, he's a real talent. I'm never going to tell him, listen, you're not going to make it. I'd say, listen, you're going to need to work really hard to make this. But I think we should have something as well as that. Yeah. Let's have an addition to that. Let's get you. What else are you interested in? Let's get you something else to fall back on. You could get a bad injury and you can't do that anymore. Anything could happen.
It's the idea that you have to make it. That's the problem. Yeah. There's so many things you can do in different ways, and with disability specifically, it's like this. You have a lot of people, your whole life you're specifically only allowed to focus on this thing that you can't do.
Yeah.
And nobody's ever like, you can't walk, but you could potentially do this, and this.
Yeah.
See, even when I came off the chair to go on my knees for the first time, there were so many people that were like, what are you doing? Get out of the chair. Like, I used to play football on my knees and goals, and people would be like, why is that guy the goalkeeper?
Yeah.
And then I would save a couple of shots and people would be like, that's why it's a goalkeeper. Yeah. Do you know? So it was something that I had to sort of deal with myself, and not really, didn't have anyone that would really push me until I stepped into EDA, and it was like, you go in there, I wheeled at EDA more like, but you go in and it was like the whole, in fact, we didn't really start speaking until a couple of years in, but just seeing you come in, and I remember looking at you going, that guy's a grafter, man, I wouldn't want to go anywhere near fighting that guy. And it was like, it made me want to work harder. Like, it made me start to break away from those shells that I was putting myself in. So even being around that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, but like, again, like you've seen seen myself in the gym and you've seen the boys in the gym. It's like, I think people do get caught up and go, oh, they're fighters, there's this almost aura around. Sometimes feels like there's an aura, especially when people don't know us. As soon as somebody knows you, like, oh, it's just a twat like the rest is. You know what I mean? It's like, you just want to have a laugh. We all just want to have a laugh. It's like, we're not.
You're not walking about like pure serious all the time.
No, it's just like come in, have a coffee or a chat and just chill. It's just like, we train, we have fun. It's like, yes, it's our job, but I'd rather enjoy my job than, like, there's no point being in a job you hate, because yeah, you're getting paid. It doesn't matter how much money you'd be paying me. If I'm absolutely miserable,
yeah,
you need to look at something else.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? There's no point. It's a job. I said it's a job for us, but it's a fun job. We all love it.
Definitely. I mean, so I think we covered a lot of stuff there, and I've really enjoyed doing this. But what do you see as now? You've obviously accomplished a lot, and you want to fight for the big belts. Is there any particular people in your mind where you're like, I've got an aim to fight against this person?
I've got a list of things I want, but I want the Jack Kennedy rematch. I don't care what order these come in, by the way. I want the Jack Kennedy rematch. Charlie Peters is ranked number 1 at the UK at my weight. I'll take that fight. I think he's still signed with one, so I don't know if he can fight out with that contract. If he can't, well, one you know where I am, just give me a shout, because I'll happily have that fight. I want to fight Singdam on Yokal, one of the GOATs. I'd love that fight. Again, I think I know I can beat him. I know it's going to be a hard fight. It's going to be a really hard fight, but I know I'm capable of winning. And again, I've got the belief in myself, and I think that's one of the fights that will help push me.
Those extra gears.
Those extra gears that I need, that people actually start to see who I really am. Yeah, and I'll even going up weights. I've even thought about that. Like, I wouldn't mind being number 1 at UK at 2 weights. So, you know, I'll fight anybody who wants it. Any fight that excite me. The bigger the name, the better. The harder the challenge, the better. But, you know, and if there's world titles on the line, like MTGP world title, Jitsada, I'll take that fight as well. Like, I thought I was getting after that European title, but they've not been in contact, so, you know where I am. I don't mind coming to London, picking up my 3rd belt.
I love it, man. It's exciting, because I can't wait to see you in these fights, and I know that you'll get the big fights. And
yep, we're just hoping.
But I really look forward to seeing what you're doing, and everything that you've just been around you. You know that how hard you work and how good a guy you are. So I wish you all the best and good luck with that.
Thanks for that, Kieran. Appreciate it, mate.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed doing
Not
this.
a problem. It's a pleasure. Pleasure being on.